CBP agent showed me just a couple weeks ago when I was on the border a picture of a little 7-year-old girl. They actually showed me a series of photos of kids coming across without parents. They're just put in the hands of these coyotes, these human traffickers. They come across. Who knows if they've been abused or not? Because we don't really fully vet and check out and see, because we have no way of finding these individuals. And you know what? Then we will return them to somebody. A lot of them will go to a mom who's basically snuck into the country, put her child in with these inhumane people. Now, if you and I did that, we'd probably lose custody of our children. But we reunite them. But there's also a lot of kids who come and we don't know where they're going, and we don't follow them up. So we'll place them with somebody, and we don't follow up on them to make sure they're cared for even properly. So it's a problem. It's a problem of immediacy today, but it'll have a generational impact going forward.
What's doing, everybody? I'm Alex Glaze. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood. Today's guest on the podcast is Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman Biggs represents the 5th District in Arizona. It's a big honor to have him on the podcast today. So get down there, smack the subscribe button, tap that like, and let's jump into it right now with Congressman Andy Biggs on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father, Congressman Andy Biggs. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Alex, thanks. Good to be with you.
All right, let's jump right into this. How many kids do you have? How old?
I've got 6 kids, Alec, and the ages are, this is odd years, so they all turn even numbers. So I've got 38 to 22.
Wow, yeah, incredible stuff. And so take me right back to the beginning of your fatherhood journey here then. About how old were you when you first became a dad, and then how did becoming a father kind of change your perspective on life?
So my wife and I we were both 22 when we got married, and our first we had a baby that didn't live, and then we had another baby. So I think we were probably about 24, 25, right in there. We got to try to figure out how. It's a long time ago. So probably about 24, almost 25 when we had the first live baby.
And how did becoming a father? How did that kind of change your perspective on life?
Oh my goodness, it changes everything. I mean, first of all, you got this new little life depending on you. It's a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of challenges. And this particular little guy, he had colic. He didn't sleep through the night once for 7 months. And but it's a lot of fun. And you realize it comes with a lot of responsibility. You've got a little person you got to take care of.
Yeah, and you know what? We have 4 kids. We had 3 boys, then got the girl on the 4th try. Otherwise, I'd be catching up to you, but we got her on the 4th try. For my wife and I, going from 2 to 3 was the most challenging for us. What would you say of having the 6 kids? What would you say was the most challenging transition as far as the number of kids?
I think when we went from 5 to 6 was really a big step because now you had to have a bigger car. Okay, let's just you got to make sure you got all the seat belts and everything that you have to. No, I think that was probably it, because at the same time that you have this little infant, we got teenage boys that were in sports and other activities, and so you are just running all over the place trying to meet the demands of everybody in the family.
Yeah, great stuff. What would you consider, Congressman, to be the top values that you always hope to instill in your kids as they grew up?
I think we wanted to instill what I would say righteousness and faithfulness to God, integrity and live your life honestly, and have a sense of moral values of what is right and wrong, and understand that there is objective truth and objectively right and wrong, and live by your conscience and the spirit of Christ, quite frankly.
Yeah, very well said. And one thing I talk about, Congressman, on this show all the time is the fatherless crisis that we have going on in the country. We got so many kids are growing up without a dad in their life or a father figure living in the home. So I think in my opinion, it's the #1 social issue we have going on in the country. We're trying to solve all these other social issues, but until we strengthen our nuclear families, I think we're just going to be kind of spinning around in circles here. Do you agree? Are you seeing this? And what could we do maybe from a political standpoint to start healing and strengthening these nuclear family units again?
Well, first of all, I do agree. I think the family is so important. I think fathers in the home and mothers in the home are really important. That's not to say that if you're a single parent, you can't do great work, and you can for sure. But it is such, as we were talking about, it's a responsibility, it's hard work. So that teamwork is so vital. And also, you want to have modeling being done by both fathers and mothers. It's so critical with that in mind. Well, I think as a policymaker, one of the things we want to do is we need to lessen the burdens on families. I mean, whether it's tax burdens, regulatory burdens, whether it's the burdens of the imposition that we put on those on you from the government. Those tend to actually cause families to have to adjust how they live their lives, and government doesn't take into account that enough. I mean, policymakers don't. They think of things like, okay, well, this will be good for the economy, or we'll have 1 million new jobs, or we'll have 1 million fewer jobs, instead of saying, what does this do to the family out there? And we need to be questioning that more, because almost everything we do has either an incentive that's pro or an incentive that's con, and we need to be very careful about that.
Yeah, really good stuff. And I know Arizona, border state, I know we're having trouble with the border here. And one of the things, a lot of these guys are just shoving these kids across the border, and they're coming into the country with no parents, no father figure, no mother figure. And I know that that's got to be created. I just had Navy SEAL Eli Crane on the podcast. He's running for Congress now in Arizona as well. He spoke to us a little bit. What is it like for you there in Arizona with the kids that are coming across the border? Is this becoming an issue, having these kids? Are we having the same issue here? They're having no family, no nuclear family for them. What are we doing with them?
So this is a really huge problem, because a lot of this is blatant human smuggling, and some of it is even related to sex trafficking. So there's abusive things happen, some inhumane things happening to children coming across the border. And I was looking at a CBP agent showed me just a couple weeks ago when I was on the border a picture of a little 7-year-old girl. It actually showed me a series of photos of kids coming across without parents. So just put in the hands of these coyotes, these human traffickers. They come across, and who knows if they've been abused or not, because we don't really fully vet and check out and see, because we have no way of finding these individuals. And you know what? Then we will return them to somebody. So a lot of them will go to a mom who's basically snuck into the country, put her child in with these inhumane people. Now, if you and I did that, we'd probably lose custody of our children. But we reunite them. But there's also a lot of kids who come, and we don't know where they're going, and we don't follow them up. So we'll place them with somebody, a sponsor or something. Maybe they're a relative, maybe they're not. A lot of times they're not. And we don't follow up on them to make sure they're cared for even properly. So it's a problem. It's a problem of immediacy today, but it'll have a generational impact going forward.
Yeah, it's scary stuff, Congressman. I just can't believe that you mentioned there, too, that this child sex trafficking. I mean, worldwide, obviously, it's an epidemic. But even in this country, I can't believe it's like not the #1 thing trending on Twitter every day, that there's kids that are being sex trafficked. And it's not the biggest story of the day. To me, that's mind boggling. So let me bring it back into you as a dad here. What type of disciplinarian would you say you were as a dad? And is that different than the discipline style that you grew up with?
I was just a marshmallow, Alec. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think I was. You'd have to ask my kids what they thought. I thought I was a pretty tough guy, but I think we tried to be fair. I think the key for us was always make it immediate if possible, whatever corrective action you were going to take, and make it rationally tied to the inappropriate conduct. I mean, I would say this. Even Peterson has said, sometimes you're going to have to give a little pop on the bottom or something, and we would sometimes have to give a little pop on the bottom just to corrective action while they're little. You're trying to guide them along, but I think we tried to have a rational, relatable discipline. And I'd say my parents were probably pretty well the same, and my wife's parents were pretty well the same as well. They were a lot of trust given. We tried to give a lot of trust to our kids.
Yeah, well said. And what about as far as family traditions? Do you have any family traditions that you guys stick to year in and year out? I know, I would imagine with the 6 of them, getting everybody together has got to be quite a challenge at times. But what are your What does that look like for you?
So for us, it was our growing up was always traveling with the kids. As we always made sure every year we traveled. The other thing is we always made sure that on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning we had a set of traditions that we did, and we still try to do them. So if we're with our kids, if it's only one, maybe it's a son and his wife, I'm still going to get up on Christmas morning really early and make cinnamon rolls and do the whole thing like that. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, really cool. And then obviously, I think unfortunately our political atmosphere in the country has become so toxic on social media and everything else. So I mean, how has that affected your family? I mean, I know some of this stuff could be very brutal. Just from having guys on the podcast, I get slammed on social media. So I can only imagine being in your shoes what it's like. Has that affected your family, or what has that been like for you as a dad being a congressman?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt about it that my kids have had the pleasure of incurring the wrath of people who knew what their relationship to me was. But fortunately, I've been in it a long time, and so my kids have seen it, and they've been able to adjust to it, and for the most part, it's okay. But I will say that we kind of, as a family, we kind of we provide some kind of group therapeutic session where if somebody's taking it on the chin, everybody else says, "Oh, don't worry about it," blah blah blah. They're just a jerk for saying that kind of thing. But anyway, we make it work. We make it work, and the kids are great. They're very supportive. My wife's very supportive, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, well, God bless you for it. Now, what about for yourself here? What kind of goals or plans do you have for yourself for the future?
I hope this weekend, Alec, to maybe get 7-8 hours of sleep one night. That's the immediate goal.
Yeah, I can hear that.
If possible, my long-term goal, I was talking to my wife about this. Two things, Alec. This is important. So my hair is cut short since the last time you saw me. And the reality is, my wife said when I quit being in Congress, I can grow my hair long. So that would be goal number one, is grow my hair long again. And then the second thing is to be able to get my music studio up and running. Because I mean, it's there, it's close, but I can't quite get there because every time I get going with it, it's time for me to go to an event, to do work, write an op-ed, whatever, So one of these days, I hope to have that studio up and going.
Well, good luck with that. The last thing I want to hit you with here, Congressman, I'd love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about-to-be father who's out there listening?
Oh, I think make sure that you support your wife, the mom. Make sure that's really critical to you, and make sure you maintain patience, trust in God, and have a whole heck of a lot of love.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. Congressman Andy Biggs, it's been an honor for me. You're a first-class father all the way, and thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Alex, thanks for what you do.